Greetings, my name is Alex007, I'm working for Virtus.pro organization as Russian StarCraft 2 caster, and I'm here to present you the review of one of the new maps for the World Championship Series 2014 Season 2. It's not just the new map for World Championship Series, it's also one of the new maps for ladder, so we guys will play on this map, and that's why I think it's quite important to look at it and to know how to play on it. So this map's name is Waystation. This is the map for 4 people, for 4 players, and I think it's quite similar to what we saw on Pro League 2012-2013. That map's name was Coral Floating Islands, and there was also 4 spawns, and if player appeared on top left, for example, his opponent appeared definitely on the bottom right, and if he appeared on the bottom left, his opponent definitely appeared on the top right. And the situation on this map is pretty much the same. You're either appearing on top left and bottom right, or on bottom left and top right. So actually this is quite a huge difference between those 3 spawns, and I'll try to explain you why, what's the difference. Let's name these respawns when the guys are on the top left and bottom right as macro respawns, because as you will see, rush distance is much bigger here. And let's name bottom left and top right respawns as aggressive response. As you can see, rush distance between macro response is exactly 58 seconds in game, of course, and it's quite similar to what we can see on Frost cross respawns. So 58 seconds is really kind of big rush distance, even as for maps for 4 players. That's why it will take quite a long time to get to your opponent's main base, so definitely take it into consideration. As we can see, there's just 40 seconds rush distance between aggressive respawns, so this is quite similar to what we can see on Yeonsu, for example, on one of the most popular maps for 2 people, for 2 players. That's why these respawns will show us definitely different games, I would say. And we should also mention that by following standard scouting paths, you will see your SUV or your army will move exactly by this white line. So actually, if you're just right-clicking on your opponent's main base, your walker which left your base on the top left will move exactly by this line. So it will pass opponent's Zelnaga tower, it will pass this this thing in the center, this one, and you will pass it by the top right side of it. So keep that in mind, because if you're traveling from the bottom right to the top left, you're moving by quite a different line. Look at it. You're moving under this thing, under this central tower, and you're again following your enemy's Zelnaga tower. So these lines, these ways are not the same, and your scouting walkers may not meet in the middle of the map, but actually one of your walkers can be seen by your Zelnaga tower. So if your scout, for example, was earlier, you could see maybe that your opponent is moving. You can see right now by these crosses where Zelnaga towers are on this map, so they are actually quite important. And as you can see, moving from the top right aggressive respawn to the bottom left one, you're again following this central tower and going by the top left side of it. So, as you can see, if you are going from one of the top expansions, you're moving by the top side of this tower in the center. And if you are going from one of the bottom respawns, you're moving by the bottom side of this tower in the center. And if you're moving from one of the left expansions, you're passing it from the right side. If you're moving from the right expansions, you're passing it on the left side. It seems quite difficult, but actually it's very simple. For example, if you're moving from the top right expansion, you're passing this thing from the top left side. If you're moving from top left expansions, you're passing it from the top right side. Another important thing is that both Zelnaga towers don't give you vision near these central towers. So, for example, if you're controlling even both Zelnaga towers, you won't spot scouting SCV, which is following this standard way. This is also quite important note. I think we should definitely mention it. And let's look how this map works. How does it look like in Battle.net? So at first, guys, I want to mention that all of you can play this map right now. You can find it in Battle.net. Its name is Waystation, as you can see. Waystation version 1.0, made by Blizzard. Map for 4 players. And actually, though we are still in the first season of Ladder, we can already play it. We can play it versus artificial intelligence or versus your friends. Just do it. And the first thing I want to tell about this map in particular is that there is no natural depot under the ramp right now. I don't know what the hell was going in the head of the map maker. This is, as I think, a huge mistake, and I hope it will be fixed soon, because I just can't imagine this map on serious tournaments like World Championship Series. It would be just impossible to play for Zergs, because you can wall off with supply depots and barracks here, for example, and Zerg just couldn't do anything with it, or wall Zerg off with 2 bunkers, or even you can build 3 pylons here as a Protoss, and then like make cannons or anything like that. So yeah, actually it's huge. I don't know why there's no natural depot here. I hope that this is just a mistake, and that this will be fixed soon, because really this makes no sense here as for modern StarCraft 2 map. So let's move further. Again, I think that this is just a mistake, and natural depot is not available not just for aggressive response, for macro response too. So yeah, this is, I don't think it was made by purpose. Okay, let's move further, and first thing I want to mention here is that we have huge space behind the main base, natural base, the third one, and all other bases here. Because when we are talking, for example, about Overgrowth, another new map for the second ladder season in 2014, we should mention that there is actually no space behind the main base, the natural one, and HC. So here you got huge space in the corner of in all the corners of this map, so you can hide overload there, you can fly with mutas and drops there easily. But actually there is literally no place for always in the center of the map. As you can see, there are plenty of towers, holes, ramps, cliffs and anything like that here, but actually you can get vision from your ground units literally everywhere on this map, so you can't hide your always as a Zerg anywhere on this map except on these places in the corner of the maps, like behind all the bases here. So yeah, you should just hide your always somewhere in the corner. You cannot control this huge open map with overloads. You should just be everywhere with your links. You should control all the Zelnaga towers, and actually this amount of space behind the bases means that there is also a huge problem with drops in TVP, because they can be literally everywhere. We'll talk about Terrans later when we'll tell us something about islands on this map, but right now let's talk a bit about ZVZ. As you can see, your hatchery is situated quite far away even from the ramp, so it's actually impossible to wall off your aggressive response. and this is of course kind of a huge problem for ZVZ. Speaking about macro respawns, well, the situation here is quite better. You can wall off with your hatchery, for example, or you can wait until your creep reaches this wall, and then you can make a full wall off, for example, with 2 evolutions, Roach Warren, your Queen, and Spine Crawler, and well, maybe it will be okay. So defensive ZVZ is quite hard to play on this map, and I would even say impossible to play on aggressive respawns, because creep is spreading not far enough even to cover your ramp. Okay, let's move on, and right now I will tell you something about photon rushes here. Even not mentioning this thing with 3 pylons under the ramp because of no natural depot, you can see that aggressive respawns are photon rushed quite easily, because there's quite a huge area you can wall off with just 3 pylons, and you have even several different places where you can put these pylons, so photon rushes are quite easily to execute here on aggressive respawns. Speaking about macro respawns, nothing really interesting, because you can wall many places with 3 pylons. I mean, the place just under the ramp, you see, under the wall, I mean under the main base, so nothing really interesting. The main thing I should mention is that it's actually impossible to make photon rushes on macro respawns behind the mineral lines. Situation on aggressive respawns with these 3 pylons walls is pretty much the same. No possibility to make wall with 2 pylons, just 3 pylons everywhere, so nothing really special here. To sum it up, we have one cool, cute place to make photon rush. This place you can wall it off with 3 pylons, and it's quite easy to execute. All other ideas to make photon rushes on this map are actually not the best ones. Just you need 3 pylons everywhere, so nothing really special, nothing really interesting in macro respawns. Let's talk about walls on your natural expansions here on Waystation. Even if you're playing on macro respawns, playing macro itself would be quite hard because of these great walls. As you can see right now, even 4 barracks in a row are not enough to close this wall properly, because as you can see, we found a hole here, and well, this hole actually really exists. So it would be quite hard to wall off in TVZ, and especially in PVZ. Well, I tried to build a proper wall here, but I can't name this wall as the successful one. On Waystation, as you can see, pylon in the wall, photon cannon is quite a part of it too. Well, that's not a good wall for TVZ, and it's easily breakable by roaches, by bailing busts and stuff like that. So even playing macro on macro respawns is quite hard on Waystation, and I'm not speaking now about those natural depots and stuff like that. This is just one of the hardest walls you can build. It's quite like Daedalus Point, I mean it's older edition, but right now I've got a better piece of news for you, because speaking about aggressive respawns, it's strange, yeah, it's kind of paradox, but the wall here is much easier. It's actually one of the most standard walls, just a forge, gateway and cybernetics core, just 3 big buildings, and your wall is complete. That's why, yeah, I think it's quite good. Speaking about aggressive respawns, but there are actually some other problems on aggressive respawns which may cause you not to play macro. So playing macro on macro respawns is hard because of walls. Playing macro on aggressive respawns is hard because of some other reasons, and we'll talk about it later, but one of the main reasons is rush distance. We've already talked about it, but well, enough about these sad things. Let's talk right now about islands, because we've never touched these islands in our review, and it's time to do it. As you can see, there is an island on the bottom left of this map, and there is another island, of course, in the top right of this map. Full symmetry, everything is cool. If you're interested, you can blink into this island from your main base, and this island is also situated like below your main base. By saying this, I mean that you have vision. If your ground units are situated on your main base, you have vision to the island. And if your units are situated on the island, but not on the main base, you do not have vision to your main base. I don't think that it's really so important, but well, let's just talk about it. Speaking about Reapers, as you can see in the top left expansion, there are a few places Reapers can jump. Speaking about aggressive respawns, of course, this territory is much wider, so there are more places your Reaper can jump into. Speaking about Blink, you can see on the top right of the map that on aggressive respawns it's quite hard to defend your main base from Blink call-ins or just Blink pushes, because Stalkers can blink absolutely everywhere. Speaking about macro respawns, you cannot actually blink right here on the top right, but you can blink on the top side of the main, which is quite an okay situation, as I think so. Playing versus blink on macro respawns is not that hard, not that bad, but playing versus blink on aggressive respawns is really hard. So that's why I think that going macro on aggressive respawns would also be quite hard, especially in TVP. Another thing which hugely affects macro style on this map is the location of the third base on both macro and aggressive respawns. As you can see right now, third base on macro respawns seems to be located quite okay, but you should cover all this territory to defend both natural and third expansions on macro respawns. So it would be quite hard versus Xerx, because this territory is quite large and there are just no wall which can cover it. So yeah, it would be really hard. And speaking about aggressive respawns, the situation is even worse, because this territory is just so huge, and you actually need so many buildings to cover it properly. It's really just an impossible thing, so you should defend your third base just by units without any help from proper walls. That's why taking the third expansion is really hard here. Speaking about drops, as you can see right now on this picture, there are many places where you can drop, where you can harass your opponent's economy lines. The situation is quite hard again on both macro and aggressive respawns, because there are many places you can fly from one place into the main and into the third base, or into the main and into the natural and into the island too if you want. So it would be quite hard to play defensively here, and especially after you're taking third base, either on aggressive respawns or on macro respawns. So to sum it up, guys, it seems for me like this map is not just completely is not ready. Actually, it's not ready for competitive play, for World Championship Series and stuff like that, because there are two good places for foreign cannons here on aggressive respawns. There is no natural depot under the ramp, which makes so many different cheesy things possible. There is too much space here on this map, and that allows to harass easily, to make damage to economy lines. I mean, there's also a really bad situation with walls on macro respawns. It is very, very hard to take your third base, especially on aggressive respawns, and not just to take but to defend it too. So yeah, this map seems to be a bit not ready right now. I hope that main issues will be fixed here before this map will be actually published for later and for World Championship Series. I hope that all main issues will be resolved and we'll enjoy playing this map and also watching World Championship Series and other tournaments played on Waystation. That's actually all I wanted to tell you. Thanks for watching. It was Virtus.pro Alex007 working for you here. Subscribe on my Twitter, Alex007UA, if you're interested in more reviews and other videos. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.